Greetings folks, and I hope you're all happy and healthy out there in collecting land, and welcome back to the channel for something a little bit out of the ordinary. But before we dive in, I'd like to send a usual shout out to everyone who supported the channel, and be sure to drop a like on this video and help other people find the channel. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and bell notification icon so you don't miss any of the content that's coming up. And also I'd like to say, before we dive in, all the swords you see in today's video are replicas. They're designed for display purposes. They are prop replicas, they're wall hangers, designed for things like cosplay and so on. So if you're thinking of picking one up or anything like it, be sure to keep them away from children. Probably more importantly, keep them away from irresponsible adults. So, regulars to the channel will know of my love of all things Highlander. Well, the first movie, not so much the sequels and the TV series, but with a remake on the horizon and Iconic Studios all set to give us a new raft of 1/6 scale Highlander figures, I thought now would be a really good time to have a look at these bad boys. Now, I've got to say as well from the get-go here, this is not a review, and bar one of these swords, I couldn't really tell you who made them. I've had them such a long time. I don't know my crossguards from my tangs, so I'm no sword expert. I do know the provenance of one of these ones, and that's this particular piece, so we'll cover that when we get to it. So this is more of a showcase than anything else, but let's dive in. Obviously can't look at all three of these at once, they are simply too big, so we will start with the Kurgan's broadsword. Okay folks, so first up to bat, it's the Kurgan's broadsword, and suitably menacing, brutal and heavy it is too, in keeping with the character played by Clancy Brown in the original movie. This was the first edition. This was actually the first replica sword I ever got. Had it a number of years now, as I mentioned at the top there, so I'm not 100% certain where it actually came from. Bought it on from a sword dealer on the internet. There are lots out there, and I would say this from the get-go. If you are thinking of getting into replica swords, shop around. There are lots of manufacturers out there of varying qualities. Cash value, cash price isn't always the best indicator of the kind of quality you're going to get, but as I say, shop around. Watch some reviews and choose wisely. But yeah, let's take a look at this this huge sword. This is the longest of the three that we'll be looking at today, and it is absolutely enormous. This thing comes in at about 48 inches in length. Can't even get it all in shot here. It is that long. But as you can see here, I'll try and move it over to one side, and it is absolutely, I can't even get the end in here. It is that huge. But yeah, all metal this thing, and very impressive to do it. It's got some heft to it, so when you hold this thing, you know, you actually feel like the Kurgan himself. None of the blades are sharpened on these swords. However, you could still probably have somebody's head off with one of them, so exercise caution. Yeah, let's start at this hilt now. As I say, it's got some real weight to it, and just holding it like this is not the easiest thing in the world. It's based, I believe, on a two-handed 16th century German broadsword, or rather a cross between a sort of a Scottish broadsword and a mixture of that 16th century German broadsword, which I believe was called a Bittenhander. If I'm butchering that, that's because my German is appalling, but I believe that is my appalling German for two-handed, and that's where the name of it came from. The metal they've used here, it is a steel. I am not sure what the quality of the steel is here. I know it's measured in numbers, so I can't give you an idea of the quality of the actual blade itself, but it is super sturdy, feels incredibly well made. The crossguard on this thing is phenomenal. The screen accuracy is most certainly there, and I think the crossguard and the shape of the blade are probably the most iconic things for Kurgan's weapon. The handle itself is enormous. It's a double-handed weapon with this huge metal pommel. It's leather bound, the handle here, so it feels good in the hand. And it does take two hands to wield this thing. Trust me, I have tried, and nearly caused some serious damage. Solid stainless steel, the crossguard. It has these two blades that stick out from the crossguard. Now in the movie, I don't know whether it's a button on the blade that he uses, or, well, I'll try and get this closer into camera so you can take a look at the details here, whether there's actually a button on the pommel, but these two sections actually flip out in the film, as you people who've seen the film will know, and then they retract back into the crossguard. That doesn't happen with this particular blade, unfortunately. So they've gone with just the side blades out, but they are stainless steel again, and just really, really nicely done. And going up the length of this blade, and as I say, it is a long blade, as you can see, but it's got that super shiny mirrored effect, which is true to the film. Obviously, as with all swords, fingerprint magnet, and probably worth mentioning as well at this point, I just treat these with normal household metal polish to keep them in this kind of condition. I've had this a long time, and it's really stood the test of time very, very well. They were originally displayed on a wall, but that became too problematic, and now they're displayed sort of free sitting, as it were. But yeah, so that's the Kurgan's blade, and a beast of a blade it is too. Absolutely monstrous. Not the heaviest of the three, but most certainly the longest, and whoever manufactured it did a cracking job here. As I say, if you're thinking of picking one up, shop around. There are many out there. So yeah, that is the blade of the Kurgan from the steppes of Russia, and a monstrous blade it is too. So without further ado, let's move on to the Clan MacLeod's broadsword. Okay folks, so sword number 2 is the Connery MacLeod broadsword, the family broadsword of the Clan MacLeod. Used from 1536 to 1590 when his wife died and he took up Ramirez's katana. I've got to say, this is probably, in my opinion anyway, and as I said at the top there, I am no sword expert, but I think this is probably the best made of the three that we're looking at today, and let's have a close-up look at it. It comes in slightly shorter than the Kurgan's broadsword. This one comes in at about 42 inches in full length. But the reason I say it's probably the best quality here, and as I said, this is an uneducated guess. It just feels better made. The quality of the steel in this one feels better. The finish overall is probably slightly better than that of the Kurgan's broadsword. But we'll have a close-up look at it. And this has got pretty much the same amount of weight as the broadsword, even though the Kurgan's broadsword, even though it is slightly shorter. But I think just from my untrained eye, I think the quality of the metal is that much higher. The steel in this is, I think, is probably of a higher grade. And this is one of the few, one of the three swords that I can actually trace the provenance of, and it's still got its tag hanging on it after all these years, and that's why I can trace where it comes from. But yeah, let's have a quick look at the blade itself. Is very heavy, super shiny stainless steel, I believe. Not sharp again, but once again, this thing could cause damage, so be super careful with it. And it's just beautiful, the actual blade on this. You can see the level of workmanship. This is actually produced, and I'll get this. See if I can't get this in shot here. Is this detailing on the actual hilt, not on the crossguard, but actually on the blade itself is a manufacturer's stamp, and this is made in Spain by a company called Toledo, and I think out of the three was the most expensive, and it's just a beautiful piece, super heavy, and once again it really is down. This can be gripped with one hand, but you can use two hands if you wish. The hilt itself and the handle section is beautifully done, and it's bound with cord and this what feels like suede material, and it's got some give to it. It's quite thick, and just overall the handle feels super comfortable, super grippy. The pommel itself is beautifully sculpted, and it's been weathered, and just looks suitably screen accurate, as does all the stuff. But the real sort of, I'm going to try and twist this around here without impaling myself. The real party piece of this is the actual crossguard itself and the detailing. I'll try and get this into shot here. Really nicely done and screen accurate there. You've got that sort of that Celtic carving going on into the metal there. You've got MacLeod across the top that is screen accurate, and it's just really beautifully done. And out of the three, as I say, I think this is probably the best made. It just feels premium. I'm not saying the others don't, but it just has the edge, I think, on the quality, and I think, as I say, that's down to the craftsmanship and the metal. And it is so much fun to hold this. It really does feel authentic. So yeah, there you have it. That is the MacLeod family broadsword, as wielded by Christopher Lambert as Connor MacLeod in Highlander. So without further ado, let's zip over to the last of the three. Okay folks, so it's the final sword of the evening, and it is the legendary Highland katana. Well, perhaps not the one you're expecting. This is, well, there's a story behind this. Essentially, when I started collecting these swords, Mrs. Gofigger got me this one as a birthday gift, knowing that I wanted the Highlander katana. Unfortunately, she made a little bit of a mistake, and what we ended up with is Duncan MacLeod's katana from the TV series. But it's not a problem, it's a beautiful piece. I am still in search of a replica version of the original katana from the original movie, and I'm sure that will wend its way to me at some point. But this is the, as I say, the Duncan MacLeod version, which was apparently forged in 1592 by Masahiro, who was a legendary Japanese sword maker, or so the lore will have us believe. This comes in at 42 inches long, so it's about the same length as the Connor MacLeod broadsword, but we'll have a closer look at it. Comes with a wooden stand, as most katanas do these days, replica katanas, but we'll have a quick look at this now. Straight away, it's a far more elegant weapon. It is, after all, it's a katana. It's not the weapon of brute force like the broadsword, the Kurgan's broadsword or the MacLeod broadsword. This is far more elegant, far lighter, but still it's made of all metal, as are the other two. The scabbard itself is black lacquered, which is really nice to see. We will actually take this sword out of the scabbard so we can have a closer look at it, and we'll just put the sword to one side for a second so we can get close in with this scabbard. It's got this detailing on the hilt here with this binding, which is, well, I'm going to say it's authentic to a katana, but perhaps not 100% screen accurate. I was having a look at some photos of the original sword that was used in the TV show, because it came up for auction recently, and these bindings were black. They didn't have this light colour in them, but you know, that's a minor detail. But yeah, it's got this super high gloss lacquered finish. The detailing on the end here is really nice. This is all metal with these ornate engravings, and it's sort of like a dragon's head going on here, which goes all the way around in this super high gloss gold finish, which I believe is a paint application, because this is one of the things here that hasn't aged particularly well with this sword. I mean, it is quite old. We are talking possibly 10 years old here, but if the light's catching this, the paint applications here are starting to go a little bit. So, but maybe the paint probably could do with the touching up. But that ornate detailing is continued at the other end of the scabbard, with dragons going around the edges there, and but also that's starting to fade just a little bit. So Mr. Gofigger might be having to touch up the paint applications there. But yeah, scabbard overall really nice, and super high gloss. The blade itself, as it's got some weight to it once again because it's full metal. This is probably the sharpest of the three swords that we've looked at. Not sharp enough to remove anything or to be dangerous, but yeah, it's got more of an edge to it than the other two, so I will exercise caution here, don't want to lose any fingers. But the blade itself is really nice and shiny and clean. You've got this wave line at the edge of the blade there, which is authentic. The hilt is all metal, and I will try and get this into shot by laying it down a little bit here so you can see the design that's gone into the handguard here. And once again, it's that super gold painted metal with dragons going around the side and all kinds of detailings on it, and it just looks really authentic and has a really nice finish to it. The handle itself, now, yeah, a lot longer than the handle of the katana in the TV show, and a slightly different design. As a result, the colouring on this is well, it was meant to be ivory, the handle of this, and obviously they couldn't go for ivory with this replica, so I think what they've used here is a resin, which I believe looks like it's bolted onto the tang of the blade itself with this through here, and they just put this sort of decorative coloured dot on, I suppose, for want of a better expression, to hide how it's attached to the rest of the sword itself. Well, that's not entirely screen accurate, but yeah, the handle itself is longer than the one used in the film, was meant to be carved ivory. They've used what, as I say, what feels like resin here, and they've gone for this really intricate design, which is screen accurate, with the highlighting on there to pick out the details. And you've got all kinds of, there are people on there, there are landscapes and scenes going on, there are dragons and all manner of things to look at, even some animals there, what looks like a tiger, all kinds of stuff on here, and the detailing is just really nice and on point. And that dragon head at the end there is just very, very well done. I think because of it being possibly a resin, you've got a seam line here, which is a little unsightly, but overall I think they've done a cracking job at capturing that handle, and the weathering on there is really good too. So overall, yeah, another cracking piece. I think probably out of the three, perhaps this is the least well made, but I might be being harsh there. I still think it's a cracking piece, and it really does complement the other two swords that we've just looked at. So there you have it, folks. That is the Swords of Highlander. I hope you've enjoyed this video. A little digression from the usual go figure stuff that we look at on the channel. And talking of which, there is plenty more stuff coming up on the channel in the 1/6 and 1/4 scale action figure and statue world. Stuff from Hot Toys, from In Art, Pure Arts, from Susu Toys, Present Toys, Caustic Plastic, and the like. But also as well, I'd like to say, if you enjoyed this video, and if you like seeing prop replicas and other movie memorabilia, please drop a comment in the comment section below. Mr. Go Figure has a lifetime collection, a lifetime's worth of collecting this kind of thing. So if you're wanting to see more of it, please let me know, as I say, in the comment section below, and I'd be more than happy to oblige. So there you have it, folks. We'll wrap the whole thing up with a little display of how I have them in the collection. And I suppose all that remains for me to say is a massive thank you for watching. May your sword stay sharp and your battles be legendary. And remember, don't lose your head.